Hello and welcome to this webinar about SIO Grafen's newest application here. Today I have with me Elisabeth Sagsson Beck and Andrew Murray. If you have any question, you can raise your hand or write questions later on. With that, I'll leave the stage to you, Elisabeth and Andrew.
Thank you, Jon. So I hope that everybody can see my screen. Otherwise, Jon or Andrew, you can please inform me. So welcome to this presentation of our open call from SIO Grafen. And as you know, we are working with taking 2D materials from the lab and use it to societal benefit. So SIO Grafen, we're one of Sweden's 17 strategic innovation program. And the vision is that Sweden should be one of the leading countries in developing and using 2D materials industrially. And SIO Grafen is financed by Vinnova, Energimyndigheten, Formas. So this is what I already said, that we are working with taking the material of the future from lab to industry. So far, SIO Grafen has been going in operations for 10 years. We have invested 453 million Swedish crowns in projects, and that's both public funding and also in kind from the partners. Over 200 projects have started so far, with a lot of organizations from all over Sweden participating in the projects. And the backbone of the program, I say it often, is that's the SMEs. A very large portion of the actors within the program are SMEs. And we also are very proud to have engaged so far 28 non-Swedish partners in projects. And the call that we're presenting today, me and Andrew, that's this one, Demonstrator Projects for Commercial Applications with 2D Materials in 2024. And this is the last scheduled call from SIO Grafen. And right away, I can inform you about a very happy news that we got yesterday evening, that Vinnova will grant us some extra funding for this call. So that will actually allow us to double the call budget from 5 million Swedish crowns in total budget for the call up to 10 million Swedish crowns for the call. So thank you a lot for that. So what does that mean? Well, we are changing some things within the scope. We are still going with demonstrator projects, but the maximum public funding for a project will be up to 10 million Swedish crowns. We will not set a limit, but I could stress that we are expected to finance between 2 and 6 projects. So we don't really anticipate to have one large project, but we'll leave it up to you, the actors, to design the project that you think would be best for you. The deadline, due to this extra funding, we need to move the deadline, unfortunately, 1 week ahead, so it's September 19. The maximum project duration will still be 22 months. So this is what something that summarized without what we had before in the published call. Total budget 10 million Swedish crowns. We are looking for demonstrator projects. A project could have public funding up to 10 million Swedish crown. The maximum project duration 22 months. We are expecting to finance between 2 and 6 projects, and the deadline is December 19. But I also must say that this is so new that we haven't yet implemented it in the call text that we know about. We are working on this, both me and Andrew, and this will be changed during this week. So this is where you find all the info about the call. This is the site at Vinnova. It's under funding, find funding. And this is, as most of you know, a page where you can find the call text, Swedish, English, templates for the project proposal and for the project summary, and also templates for the CV appendices. So 19th of September at 2 o'clock, that's the deadline. So what do we want the projects from this call to contribute with? Well, it's very important that they are looking at some area that's important to increase the competitiveness of Swedish industry. We also still want you to look at how you can develop the value chain for 2D materials. Cooperation is really the backbone of SIO Grafen and the other strategic innovation programs. We want companies to work with companies, companies to work with researchers, and researchers to work with researchers. We also think it's very important to stimulate Swedish material supply, so that's also important. And the projects, the results of the projects should contribute to the goals in Agenda 2030. That's the Sustainable Development Goals. So what do we advise you to have in order to go towards an application? Well, you should have a future result that is important for Swedish industrial competitiveness. And you should also have an industrial need rather than a research question. So the industrial need is very important. This result should be in some way improved by using 2D materials, of course, because this is a 2D material call. The consortium as a whole should have the ability to develop the value chain for 2D materials. You need 3 partners, and 2 of the partners needs to be companies, and at least one of the company needs to be a Swedish one. So in this call, we are offering one project form, and that's the demonstrator project. And for you who are familiar with the technology readiness level scale, then we expect the projects to start somewhere at TRL 3, that you should have an experimental proof of concept before starting. If you don't have that, then this is not the call for you. And then we expect you to move up towards TRL 6 or 7 when the project has finished. So in the application, well, as I said, you need to have an industrial relevant concept at least TRL 3, a value chain with 3 partners, 2 companies, 1 Swedish company, and also a company that intends to implement the future result. And this doesn't need to be when the project starts, but someone who is really interested in using what you are developing. And we will not have a max funding for one project, but you should have in mind that the total call budget is 10 million Swedish crown in public funding, and we do expect to finance something between 2 and 6 projects. Additional to the public funding, you need to have the same amount in kind. So the public funding, that's 50% of the total project budget, and the rest is in kind from the partners. And the project time, that can be up to 22 months, and that's not a change, so that shouldn't have been in yellow. As a result from a demonstrator project, well, you should have reached TRL 6 or 7, as I mentioned before. We would like you to have a physical demonstrator. We still think that's important for such a new area as 2D materials. You should have new knowledge beyond state of the art when you started. You should know how to implement this later on. You don't have to do the implementation within the project, of course, because you will not have a full product, but you should know how to do what steps are necessary. And we also would like you to have a complete value chain in this case, because you are quite close to the commercialization phase after the project. So who can apply for a project within SIO Grafen? Well, legal entities, companies, research institutes, universities, or other legal entities who together in collaboration would like to develop 2D materials for industrial applications. And you need to have 1 Swedish company in the consortium. But then for international partners, it's definitely possible to, and foreign actors are welcome as project partners. As I said, we have had 28 non-Swedish organizations participating so far. You need to observe that the foreign actors cannot get any public funding, so you need to contribute with in kind, but you can't get any funding. And it's also important when writing the proposal to motivate how the foreign actor contributes to developing the Swedish value chain. But by saying that, we are really welcoming foreign actors as well here. So when you have applied, what happens then? Well, the proposal is assessed by an external panel. So it won't be either Vinnova or SIO Grafen, the program office. It's experts of different kinds. And they are using the criteria that you can find in the call text. And they assess potential actors and feasibility. Looking a little bit about what we have in this call, regarding potential, that's when you should describe how important would the result of your project be in relation to the objectives of the call. So the evaluators will look at how you are contributing in making Sweden one of the leading countries in 2D materials. They will also look at the importance of the result for competitiveness of Swedish industry. They will look at the the state of how you are contributing beyond state of the art, how innovative the project is, and they will also see in what way would implementation of the results have a positive contribution to the global goals in Agenda 2030. For the actors, and that assessment looks at, are the right persons, are the right organizations involved? So they look at the competence, ability, and commitment of the consortium. They look also how well the team is composed regarding to gender, both participation in the project, but also power and influence. And they also look at how the project can develop the Swedish value chain for 2D materials. In feasibility, so what you're looking for there is the plan realistic? So if you have very good potential of the project and you have very good persons, organizations involved, you also need to have a good plan and convincing one. One question they will look at is when you start the project, do you really have something that's mature enough for a demonstrator project? Are you at TRL 3? And then they will also look, of course, at the project plan. Is it possible to see how you have thought the activities? Are they clear? Are they credible? Are they relevant in relation to the goals? So that's how it's evaluated by external evaluators. So some tips and tricks from us. Well, use the templates for this call. So download new ones, even if you have applied before, go to the website and download the new ones, because all the text in red, that's suggestions, tips, things you should address when writing. And also make sure that you address all these three criteria that I mentioned. And I would really say that we expect a tough competition, because we have seen the last years in the calls in SIO Grafen, we have more and more very good proposals. So we would really advise you to look at all parts of your application and address all the criteria. So some tip regarding gender equality, and this is feedback from the evaluators of earlier calls. If you have a male group, look a bit beyond the persons who have done the previous projects. Is it possible to involve someone else with another competence? And also think a little bit about the number of key persons that you lift in the application. In the beginning of the templates, you should write down the key persons. Do you really need to see like three guys from one organization, 3 men as key partners, or should you modify this a little bit? And what's very important is point number 3 here. If you don't hit the 40-60 that's a target in gender distribution, explain why, and also relate it to your organization goals in this area. And also make sure that the numbers that you put in the table in the project description is in line with the numbers of the key persons in the CVs. So if you have someone with like 50 hours just in the project, maybe you shouldn't, either you should give her more hours in the project, or maybe it's not a key person. And if you want to have more inspiration, we have a webinar that you could look at. It's from 2020, but still relevant, or call us here at the project office. Another tip is regarding state of the art, and this is also feedback from evaluators, even if this point has been really very much better in the last calls. But look beyond the work of your company or your group. We want you to describe the state of the art on really global level. Put like 1 or 2 pages of the 10th on this one. And don't forget to include what is missing, what isn't there today, and how will your project advance the state of the art? What's your contribution within this project? And last tip here, look also at the risk assessment. This is also something that evaluators look at. And I have to stress, it's not negative to have risks in a project. We expect some risks, because if you have zero level of risks in a project, maybe it's just doing it. It's not a publicly funded project. You should have relevant risks, and what you want to convince the evaluators about is that you understand what activities are high risk, and also that you have a plan B for risks that both are at a high risk level and also will impact your project very much if it happens. So what will you do then? Will you go to some other materials or whatever? Just put some sentences in the risk assessment. And don't forget to describe the potential to contribute of your solutions to Agenda 2030. And we don't expect you to have contributions to all of these goals. I would really advise you to choose 1, maybe 2 where you really could have an impact, and look a little bit at the different field mall and the indicators that you have, and see is your project really contributing here. And if you have questions, we from the program office are happy to help you, coach you. John, who introduced us here today, is the main contact. You can, of course, contact anyone within the program office if you have questions. So, Andrew, by that, I leave the floor to you.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, Andrew from Vinnova. I'm doing the coordination part on the Vinnova side for this call. As usual, for the application, I recommend and advise not to wait too long. So already from now that the application is open, you can download all the templates, have a look how it looks, what is needed, and what you should do and fulfill in order to complete the application. You can, if you don't have already, create a user account and start an application already now. So it goes like this, that you can start the application already today and fill it in, save, and continue for weeks and weeks. And so you don't have to build everything at once at the last minute, but already start now with the title and some parts, and then you complete by time, so that you are in the line for the deadline. The deadline is 19th of September at 2 o'clock. And the application must meet the formal requirements. The evaluators will have a look at the applications in relation to the criteria that Elizabeth mentioned. And as Elizabeth mentioned too, we have had feedbacks lately from the evaluators regarding the state of the art, the risk assessment, and the gender equality. And in a context where the competition will be tough, we recommend you to pay attention to those details, because they will be very important and making the difference between 2 very good projects.
Sorry.
Yes, a slide about the rules for founding. You will read in the text that at the project level, you can get support maximum 50%. So the project on its whole, you could get, for example, if you have 1 million total budget for the project, you can get maximum 500,000 crowns funding from Vinnova. So that's at the project level. Now, at the project partner level, so each actor involved in the project can get different amount of support depending on its character, if it's a company, if it's a big or small company, if it's a research institute, a university, and also the type of activities that you plan to do. So this will determine what kind of support. So typically a university can get up to 100% support, whereas a company will be more restricted, so cannot get 100% support. So pay attention to that difference between the funding at the project level, that should be 50%, and the funding at each project partner that can be different than 50 or 50%.
Okay, so then I'll come back here and just one comment regarding, as Andrew said, to start early. You can go in and create an application with just any title. This is something I used to think about a lot when I myself applied for projects more, but it's important, it's possible to change the title of the project later on. So you can just have some working title. You don't need to wait until you have decided what the project is going to be. This is also your, Andrew, sorry.
Yes, no problem. This is the time frame. So as we mentioned, we just changed the deadline call from 26th to 19th of September. And the reason for that is because of the new budget. So we managed to get extra money, but the new budget will do so that we need to pay out a bit of the budget already during this year. So we need to move the process a little bit earlier in order to fulfill that. So 19th of September, closing the call at 2 o'clock. After that, we go through a formal requirements, and all the applications that fulfill the formal requirements will be sent out for external reviews, and the assessment will take place until November, where we'll make the decision and communicate the decision by the 15th of November. So the projects will be expected to formally start on paper at least in November, so that you have time to fill in the paperwork and requirements that we have from Vinnova. But otherwise, formally, you can practically start activities in 2025.
Thank you. So I think so. Final advices to applicants from my side. Important to start with an industrial need that you see can strengthen Swedish industry. Read the call text, and don't forget to read the definition of 2D materials that you can find in one of the appendixes. Make sure to read the assessment criteria, because that is what your proposal will be evaluated against, and it's chapter 8 in the call text, both on Swedish and English. Don't forget to describe state-of-the-art, gender equality, risk assessment, and let us know if you need any support. And use the program office to improve your proposal. And John would be happy to help you and to discuss with you any possibilities that you see or any questions that you have. If you have questions, say regarding this, the maximum funding that a specific partners can have, then I would recommend you to call Andrew, because that's a typical Vinnova question. But you don't have to think about who you should call. You could call either Andrew or John or me, and if you think that someone else is better at answering, then we will just send you to the other person. So we work as a one-stop shop in that way. So do we have any questions? We would be happy in that case to answer.
We have got one question that I answer about the PowerPoint presentation. In regular, you can see the presentation afterwards. You get it recorded, so I think that's the easiest way, just to get it.
Yeah.
Then we have
quite
one.
heavy, so it's not good to send by email, but look at the webinar again.
Then we have one question. So, Sebastian and Ray, did you still have a question? If so, raise the hand, but maybe it was solved. Any other questions from people?
And if you have questions later on, just call us. We will be happy to answer anything.
I think, yeah, we got the answer here. So I think that was it from today.
Yeah,
so
we are really forward to all your very innovative applications as always. John, any last word?
No, don't hesitate to contact us. We are here for you. So best of luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye.